Hey guys, Duck Schmuck here, and somebody requested this of me, so I'm going to do my best here. We're going to show you how to clean the Ruger LCP. Beautiful little gun, love mine to death. Now, you see that I have way too much stuff here, and that is to let you know that I am out of control. I've gotten to the point where I've got so many different calibers that I'll clean for myself and for other people that, yeah, I've got too much. Really, the only thing you need to clean this little gun reasonably would be cleaning solution. I know the label's gone here, but this is actually Hoppy's number 9 standard cleaning solution, or CLP. This is a cleaner, lubricant, and protectant, preservative, as they call it. This is an all-in-one. This one is kind of, you do two parts. You do the oil and after you do the cleaning. So you need that. The second thing I recommend is you need something in order to clean the barrel, the inside of the barrel. It can be done a couple of ways. Tradition has always been wire brush, cotton swag, little pieces of cloth that you'd put the cleaner on and then force through. This is what I'd recommend if you're not wanting to have a large collection. This is what they call a bore snake. What this does, this long piece of nylon, this one's made for a rifle obviously. This long piece of nylon is attached to all of this end. What you would do is you would take your barrel, you would take and drop this end into your barrel, feed that all the way down. Like I say, this is rifle length, so there's a lot in here. So you'd feed that down, you'd pull all of that down, and then in the end, you wind up pulling the snake itself through all of this part. Now this has a built-in brush. This area and this area here actually have brass bristles to it. It wouldn't hurt to either put in the nose or just behind the bristles a little touch of cleaning solution or the all-in-one spray. And then as you pull that through, and it'll pull through rather stiff, that it'll clean that for you. Now, these come in different calibers, so you're going to want to get one that's going to handle 380 or 9 millimeter. That would be the one that you'd want, and this would be my number one recommendation for those that don't have a lot of room. Just get these two. You'll be fine and dandy for a long time. Now, going into non-specific things. Cotton swabs. I use these. Occasionally I buy them where they have the long wooden handles on them to get into other little places. And one thing that you might think that I'm a complete lunatic about is dental tools. I have all sorts of dental tools with different ends on them. I pick these up at the gun shows for $1, $2 a piece. I get really crazy about getting into the nooks and crannies and cleaning my guns. I shoot them a lot. They will tend to get very dirty by the time I get to a point of cleaning on them, because I can go out in a day and shoot a few hundred rounds. So I like to go through and really meticulously make sure that it's good and clean. So the snake and this are what I'm going to show you. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a cotton swab like this and turn it into this. Maybe not as close because I did clean it a little bit earlier on my first take of not screwing up the video. So, rule number 1, always, always, always treat a gun like it's loaded. Which means you never want to point this in an unsafe direction, and that way happens to be in my backyard. So I got 4 feet to the picture window, and then I got woods. So I know we're safe in that direction. We've already taken the magazine out, so we know that I don't have any other rounds that could possibly chamber into it. And as I pull the slide back here, I will check the chamber to make sure that it is empty. In fact, actually, I'm going to take it back and lock it. So now I can really look in there. Never hurts to always have a little something you can throw in there. So if I get distracted on something, or I've got somebody else to take care of, questions, answers, whatever, I know that it's kind of hard to put a bullet in there when there's something already in the chamber. So I do keep these handy, kind of just one of my things. Now, in order to disassemble this for cleaning, set of cheap dollar store micro screwdrivers and you're all set. You might have something already sitting around the house, so pick that up. What you want to do is this little pin right here, that's what we're going to pop out. So with the slide back and locked open, we take in, pop that little pin out. Always have a good workspace, so you're not going to lose that. We're going to keep that right there for safekeeping. Now this is under pressure, and you know that from when you slid it back and locked it open. So you want to make sure that you're pressing on that. You can do it one of two ways. You can reach up here and pull that slide button down, or if you push back, it'll drop back automatically. Then you want to carefully let it loose forward, but you'll find that now without that pin, it'll come all the way off. Main portion is the frame, or we'll just do some swabbing in that. But the slide assembly contains more parts that we want to be careful about. The first of which, I'll do this other-handed, is the spring. We'll set that down. The second part is the barrel itself. Boy, that's a little. Then you have the actual slide. So what we're going to do is we are going to take this from a practical approach with a cotton swab, and I'm going to bypass the snake for now. Actually, I have another one which I can use. A little different. This is more of your pistol size. Obviously you wouldn't be able to lead this through 20 some inches of barrel. So there's a pistol size snake, different manufacturer, a little different type, same kind of thing. So we'll use this one. Okay, the first thing that we'd want to do, just out of habit for me, is I like to clean the barrel. Now with it out of the gun, key factor, out of the gun, and we know that it is empty and we've looked through it, I will like to look down through the barrel itself just to see how clean it is on the inside, kind of knowing where I begin with. I got my little bore light here, and we're going to try and see if we can get it up on video. Yeah, it may be too bright for that, but that's what we do, is we take a look in there to see how dirty we are to start. Now with a bore snake, I always lead it from the muzzle, the business end, and then pull it down through the action. We just pull that through, and to an extent that's done. If you don't shoot a lot, that's probably about all the work you got to do for cleaning the barrel. If you want to, yeah, it doesn't hurt to run it through again. You do it 2, 3, 4 times. Not going to hurt a thing. So pretty much we got our barrel clean. If you know you're going to be storing this or not going to be using it for a while, you're going to want to maybe put a lubricant on there, which I've got some Remington gun oil, I've got some Hoppies. The CLP will also do it as well. But that, at least for now, that's going to be perfectly fine. The spring, you might take a rag, put some of that cleaner on it, maybe run it, roll it around a little bit just in case there's any additional dirt or debris that's gotten on the spring itself. I tend to get meticulous and clean my guns real good, And I know that this one's been cleaned once already. I've not fired it since I've cleaned it last, so that's where we're looking at things. Now, when we get to the slide, what we run into is when that round is being ejected, you can tend to get gas releasing out from around that. You'll get gas around the front of this, and what'll happen is this area will tend to get dirty. Any little cracks and crevices, even though this is all hidden in the frame, you've got that gas will sneak its way through there and leave dirt and deposits. So what we do, open our CLP up here, we just get a little bit on there, and see it's a little on the yellow side. The Hoppy's number 9 is also really yellow, so it's kind of a common color. But what we'll do is we'll go in and we will take, I don't know if you can see the little tract in there, but I like to run right down that, work my way through the back end here on one side, and then repeat the process over on the other. Let me clean that out real good. Okay, as you see, yes, I pull up dirt. I could clean this probably 100 times and still always keep pulling up dirt. To get one perfectly clean, you might need something like an ultrasonic cleaner, big bucks, which I've never spent in my life and have never needed to. So with that cleaner still on there, just check all of your other surfaces where you could possibly have contact. I even check around the front there. So that's pretty much about it for cleaning one. Then you turn around, take the dry end, run that back through again, just in case you had maybe a little too juicy of an end. You can kind of clean up any of the extra. Now, one area that's important, and you see more dirt, one area that's good and important to work on is this plate right here. This is one of the important areas because that's where your firing pin comes out of. I don't know if you can see that little itty bitty hole in there, but that's where the tickler comes out and hits the boomstick, or the firing pin hits the primer. So you want to make sure that that's good and clean, so that way your next round is going to seat up against that well. And again, we just kind of dry it off a little bit. Now I'll grab myself another one, and we'll get her all juicied up here with some good cleaner. Now take a look at the frame. Now the frame, that blowing area is actually right here around the trigger assembly. You can tell because of these scoops and stuff here will be your guide to know where you really want to start cleaning. And when you clean that, clean down all the way down, clean those little ramps off, but don't forget, clean back here where the magazine would sit, because you're going to get a lot of blowback that goes through all of those little nooks and crannies like I mentioned earlier. So it doesn't hurt to reach on down there and clean in the magazine well a little bit as well. Okay, again, see, nice and clean. And we get her in with the clean end just to help spruce that up. And of course that comes back a little dirty, not too bad. So now we're pretty much to the point of ready to put it back together again. Now I will tend to use the Hoppy's 9 lubricating oil. I like my guns oily. I feel it also helps against rust problems and helps keep everything lubricated and moving well, versus a grease type which would just really attract dirt. The oils aren't too bad about that. So I'll take one last cotton swab and we'll get it well saturated with oil. Now the oil is clear, so you don't really see it too much. Now, with it really soaking like this, I don't want to have it dripping all over the gun. So I'm touching very lightly on these slides. Get on both the slides on both sides. And at the top of the slides. All the way around the hammer back there. Okay, so we know that that's oiled. The reason I don't put a whole lot on there is because here's where it's going to be contacting. Remember that little groove I mentioned earlier? That's actually where those slides will connect in. So I want to run that down that groove on both sides. And that will put some good protectant through there. I will also hit this plate here because a little bit of that will keep that hole cleaned out for the firing pin so we don't have an obstruction there. Now your barrel comes in contact with the end of the slide. You can tell this one's been shot enough. You might be able to see that little silver ring. That little silver ring is coming in contact with that hole in the slide. So we're going to oil that and make sure that that is well lubricated. You got that little hole there, which I'm going to oil from the inside. And the shaft that's inside the spring here is what will actually kind of go through that hole. Now, I'm going to come back to the spring. We're going to lubricate that momentarily. But pretty much, we're done with that, and now it's time to reassemble. Your barrel, this works really easy when it's upside down. So if you remember when you take it apart and it's upside down, you've got some shapes here, some claws to be able to grab onto. With my big old hands, that's handy. So with your slide upside down, you can very easily get that in and then slide it back to where she drops into place. Now we take the slide spring, that's going to go into that spot for the smaller hole here. So we're going to get that in, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but right there is a little shelf on the bottom of that barrel, and that is what we're going to try to hook into. When we slide this in, there's kind of a head on this end of the spring, and that is what, come on now, be a good little girl here. There we go. We got it on there. Now, this is where I might get a little bit excessive with oil. I don't squirt it. This isn't like WD-40. A lot of times I use, for big oiling jobs, I'll grab that. But this, what I want to do is, I'm going to take 2 or 3 drops maybe and put it on the spring, but I'm going to be trying to spread it back and forth while I do it. So I don't put a whole lot on there, but I can see a little bit of it glisten in there, and that's more than enough. You don't need a whole lot on that spring, but that just ensures, because there's a lot of contact between that little rod that's in there and the spring itself. Okay, so now we're actually ready to put it back on the frame. We carefully roll her over. Remember, that spring's under tension. You don't want to bump that. It'll go flying on you. Start back in the grooves again. So that way everything's all lined up. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to bring her all the way back. Oops. And lock that slide again. Now we can take our pin, put our pin back in, and get her popped into place. Now, hopefully, she'll slide forward as she should. She's set and ready to go, good and clean. Now this is a rag that I actually use almost specifically for oiling. I will wipe off dribbles of oil that we get now and again through here. And over time, this has got an oily feel to it. So it's also helping protect all of my other surfaces as well. But there we go. The cleaning of the Ruger LCP 380. Not difficult. Just take your time. I've got some beautiful videos about it on Ruger itself. So you can go out to Ruger.com and check under the LCP there, go all the way down to the bottom of the page, huge page of all the models they've got. And you'll find some excellent videos there as well for cleaning. So this is Duck Schmuck. We thank you much. Definitely subscribe, because in that way when I come out with new videos like this, you'll instantly be able to get them, as well as be able to find them in the future. You can go through your subscribers list to catch me again. So until then, God bless, be safe, and happy shooting.